Welcome back to the Stick 'em Up YouTube channel. This is not an official episode of the Stick 'em Up podcast because Brundi, we have some massive news to talk about. This is probably the biggest news we're going to get until the Olympics start. I can't,
Yep.
I don't know what else would happen that would even, frankly, be in the same level of it. Like, I think
Nothing. Nothing.
the only thing that compares in recent years is the Rantanen trade, and as big as that was, this still feels a little bit bigger, doesn't it?
Kind of. Well, obviously,
So,
we'll set the scene and then we'll dive
yeah,
into it.
yeah.
Quinn Hughes has been traded. Kind of out of nowhere. We thought maybe he would get traded, maybe not. We even
There was some
spent
rumors.
the last week on both episodes of the podcast kind of discussing the possibility of it, and then same as the Rantanen one. Honestly, just out of nowhere, late on a Friday night, just
Yeah,
boom. There's no rumors of there's talks this could happen, it might not happen. It's just the deal went through. It's done, and here it is. And so what we know now is that Quinn Hughes is off to Minnesota, of all places,
which
and in
not in any of our predictions. I had
yeah,
heard zero rumors about Minnesota. We had heard rumors on like at least 5 different teams. Minnesota never once crossed my mind.
and all Eastern teams too. We kind of just assumed that he wasn't
Yeah,
going to be traded to a team in the West. So Quinn Hughes going to Minnesota, and in return, the Vancouver Canucks get defenseman Zeev Buium, Marco Rossi, and Liam Öhgren, along with a 2026 first-round pick, belonging obviously to the Minnesota Wild. So that's a pretty good haul going back to Vancouver, I would say, though.
yeah. No, the main thing you're always worried about is not getting fair value for the guys, and
Yeah,
I really like this for Vancouver. I think Vancouver, and one thing that makes it very interesting is after this happened, Jim Rutherford did a big press conference. You got to with something like this,
yeah,
and you know, he talked about. Well, he said the word. He said it. So many guys refused to say it, and he did it. He said the word rebuild, and I
yeah,
think that's huge for Vancouver because they are, in particular, a franchise that they do not want to. They refuse to say it. We talked about on the
yeah,
podcast like a week ago how they had said if we're even if Quinn Hughes doesn't come back, it's a retool. It's not a rebuild. Apparently, that's out the window, and they're going for rebuild. And you know what? It's a phenomenal time to do it because hardly anyone else
yeah,
is rebuilding, and there's some good young players. Like
yeah.
I
With
love that
with
they
this
got a
deal,
bunch of prospects and not just picks, though.
yeah,
If you got 4 first rounders for Quinn Hughes, you're looking to be competitive in 5 years, if that.
yeah,
With these guys, they could all be on your roster doing stuff in 2 years, next year, by the end of
yeah.
this year. So I really like this from Vancouver. I'm just glad they didn't get
Absolutely.
fleeced because their fan base wouldn't be able to take it.
Yeah, it would if it was a deal. I mean, and the thing is like, obviously, uh, Vancouver lost this trade as of right now. When you're doing, and it's kind of
Sure.
an old cliche, but when you are trading the best player in the deal, you lose the deal. And I was talking to a couple people about it, and I said the perfect example of this deal is the Eric Carlson deal. The time when Eric Carlson was traded from Ottawa to San Jose, the consensus was San Jose won the trade. It's not even close. They fleeced Ottawa, and now we're
Right.
looking back on that deal, and it's like, okay, Ottawa actually kind of won the deal because San Jose never ended up winning a cup with Eric Carlson, and we know that you know Ottawa got some good prospects at the time, and they got a first round pick, and
That ended up being Tim Stutzel.
Minnesota's isn't going to end up being third overall and turn into a player like Tim Stutzel for Vancouver, but now we're looking at that deal, and it's like, okay, Ottawa won, and that could happen with this deal. It could very well end up being right now where, like, obviously Minnesota wins because they landed Quinn Hughes, the second best defenseman in the league, a top 10 player in the league. Like,
Yeah.
there's no way you lose that deal, but could end up looking like it could end up being 5 years down the line. We could say, wow, Vancouver won the deal because
They
maybe
might be
Quinn Hughes
looking great.
walks.
And Quinn Hughes walks.
And I'm very high on Zeev Buium. Marco Rossi is a great top 6 center for Vancouver. Liam Öhgren struggled quite a bit this year, but again, still very young. Like Rossi, 26 years old, was drafted 9th overall in 2020. He's on a 3-year deal still at only $5 million, so nice and cheap. Liam Öhgren, 21 years old, drafted 19th overall in 2022. So again, like very recent. He's got 2 years left on his ELC, and Zeev Buium drafted 12th overall in 2024. 2 years left on his ELC. And even though he's drafted 12th overall, a lot of people are still saying he's probably the second best player that's going to come out of that 2024 draft class, only behind Celebrini. So that's not even a knock to say he's only at second. He's a very good prospect and going to be a very... He models his game after Quinn Hughes. I mean, that... So you're basically getting...
What better prospect to get back?
Yeah, is he going to be as good as Quinn Hughes? I mean, probably not, because again, Quinn Hughes is like the top 2 defenseman in the league.
It's an insane bar. But the fact that you have to say probably is really nice for Vancouver when they got a player that looks to get better and is already great in Marco Rossi. I still can't believe Minnesota so badly has seemingly wanted to get rid of him for the last year. And then you still have Öhgren and a first. Like
in a good draft too. So, you know, you can use that first if you want to and package it with someone if you even want to move up further in the draft, you know, but like teams like San Jose and Chicago have done that going through the rebuild. And on top of that, there's no guarantee Minnesota gets out of the first round. You know, like Quinn Hughes actively makes them that much better.
War zone.
But first round, you're going to probably be playing Dallas. And that's no easy matchup. Yeah. And even if you do beat Dallas, you're probably going to be playing the Colorado Avalanche. So, you know, I respect Minnesota because you do kind of have to go all in because you paid Kaprizov. But for Vancouver, that first could end up being 18th overall, 19th, 20 maybe. Actually, maybe be more around like the 22, 23 range. But still, you know, it's no guarantee it's going to be 32nd or 31 in the first round.
Yeah, like it's crazy. I would love to know if there's any Minnesota Wild fans. Please let us know in the comments. Like, I would love to know your thoughts on this and what it was like, because I don't think I've ever, as a Tampa Bay Lightning fan, I don't know if I've ever just been hanging out on a Friday night and got the news of a trade this magnitude before. Like, like the closest thing I can compare it to for me is when the Lightning signed Gensel, and even then, that's in the off season. We had just let Stamkos go, so we kind of knew something was coming. Like, there was a ton of factors of why I could expect it. This was a random Friday we're not even in January, man. It's just, it happened on December 12th. Like, and you get last year, was it? No, not last year's Norris winner, the year before Norris winner. Like, a guy of this caliber, that's crazy. So I'd love to hear from Wild fans, because we've been hearing a lot from Vancouver fans around, obviously. You know, shout out to the hockey guy. He's having a rough go of it, as all Canucks fans are.
Well, I'll put into perspective here for it. Quinn Hughes, all-time ranks by defenseman in Canucks history. First all-time in points for defensemen, 432. First all-time in assists at 371. First all-time in power play points at 190. First all-time in multi-point games with 110 by defensemen. And 6 all-time in goals with 61. So obviously it's not easy
26,
watching him go out the door. Yeah, like probably not even in the prime of his career.
That's the crazy part. He's not even halfway through. Like, he's like a couple years before he hits the halfway point on his career. Like, you know, he's such a Vancouver Canuck, and when all is said and done, it'll be like, oh yeah, he played for the Canucks. Wow, look at his hockey DB. He played for the Canucks for like 7 seasons. I forgot about that. Like, I feel like a guy like Rantanen, it's going to be like, when all is said and done, it'll be like, yeah, he was this team, then he was this team for a while. Like, you'll kind of remember him as a dual team guy. Like, Quinn Hughes, he's young enough, and he's probably going to get better to the point where, we're going to remember him as whoever extends him. And also be like, oh, right, and he was a Canuck as well.
And the interesting thing with this, and again, I still kind of have a tough time wrapping my head around it, is apparently the Canucks kind of knew for a bit now that Quinn Hughes wasn't gonna re-sign. Like him and his camp have apparently kind of made it clear that he was
And you know
not
what?
gonna resign. He was gonna leave, and
You love
I
to
kind of
see that
want to
realism
believe
from
that,
them.
but I don't fully, because then it makes a lot of the stuff that the Canucks did kind of head scratchers. Like, why would you give that big extension to Demko? Why would you give that big extension to Lankinen? You know, if they knew at the time, why would you get a first for JT Miller and then flip it for a defenseman? The Brock
Well,
Besser one I can understand
a
because you
long
need
time is a few months
players.
in this situation.
It sounds like it was near the beginning of the offseason, apparently, is kind of when it was confirmed, but they already kind of knew. And so again, I don't fully know on it. Like, is it true? Probably, because that's why they traded him so soon without giving it a crack in the offseason at extending him. Um, but I mean, you got to imagine, like, you try and extend him in the offseason, it doesn't work out. You end up having to trade him anyways if his plan was to always leave Vancouver in the end. You're not getting this good of a return.
Yeah. Yeah,
You know,
they've
and
been pretty
you
vocal lately, as the Canucks management often are. And normally I
Mhm.
hate it. I hate how freaking noisy this org and this front office is, but to their credit, it's been a lot of good things in the last 24 hours in the way that they've said that they're doing a rebuild. They've laid it on the table and they're like, we're not in that place. We don't think he was going to resign. And they also said that because one of my questions was, okay, this is a fine return, but you couldn't like every team should be in on them on Quinn Hughes. Every single
Yeah.
team. The Avalanche, the Stars, the Lightning, the Panthers, like even those top teams, they should still be in on him as well. Every team should be in on a guy like this. And
Yeah.
because on his cheap contract, he's good as a rental for a cup contender. He's good for a rebuilding team. Nobody can't use this guy. And
Exactly. And that's kind
uh,
of the nice thing for Minnesota is you have Quinn Hughes for this season to go on a playoff run, because again, you're kind of going to need a guy like Quinn Hughes if you're going to have to go through Dallas, Colorado, and then potentially like Vegas or Edmonton just to get
yeah,
to the Cup final. And it's probably the Florida Panthers again.
yeah.
Um,
But I
and
was
but
wondering
if
that,
he doesn't
like
re-sign though, you can trade him still because he does still have a year
that
left.
that is big. That is big. And I do wonder because who is it? Bill Guerin is the GM in Minnesota.
Yeah,
He's one of the main figureheads for Hockey USA, right? Like
yeah,
the
he's the
Olympic team.
GM for the Olympics team. Yeah,
I don't know. It's if there's a team that could keep him, they might
yeah,
be
it's Minnesota.
low key one of the better team. Everyone would point to, where would he stay? Oh, probably one of the tax-free states and all that. Maybe Vegas. They're in on everybody, but Minnesota, low key, like we've never seen this from their franchise. They've never had a guy like Kaprizov, and they've also never had a guy like Quinn Hughes. It's
They
crazy
thought
that
they
they've all of
had
a
it
sudden
when they
got both.
got Parise and Ryan Suter, but that didn't work out quite as well for them.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, this is the best shape that the Minnesota Wild have ever been in.
and it's not
And
close. It's
yeah,
not
and
close.
then you look at it and you have him for this year, and yeah, like if Quinn Hughes doesn't want to resign or whatever, again, he has no trade protection. Like I know the Canucks obviously talked to Quinn Hughes before this deal, and like we're like, "Are you okay going to Minnesota?" And Quinn Hughes is like, "Yeah." He wasn't, even though has no trade protection, the Vancouver Canucks still treated him properly out the door, and that is huge for a rebuilding team. And for Minnesota, yeah, you can get a nice haul back next year if Quinn Hughes doesn't want to resign. And I think that's very important because you look at last year, the Rantanen one. Carolina got Mikko Rantanen, and they had a month. Because you put in here that the Wild have not been given any reason to think that Quinn Hughes will sign an extension when he's
Yeah, no
eligible.
talks on it.
That's the same position the Carolina Hurricanes were in when they got Mikko Rantanen. The difference
Except
is
he was expiring
they
that
they
year.
basically had a month to do it because they either had to get him extended or traded by the trade deadline. They weren't going to risk losing him for nothing. Minnesota, you got like
You can
14
kick
months.
your feet up.
You got
You can
14 months
chill.
to figure it all out. So it's for all the reasons, good for Minnesota, but for Vancouver, I mean, you look at the draft of this year and next year, it's very top heavy.
It sucks losing a guy like Hughes. It sucks losing
It's
your
always gonna
captain,
sting. It's always
but
gonna.
it's a nice return for the player at least. At least you can hang your
Absolutely.
hat on the fact that, like God, how like dude, freaking Canucks fans would be on watch if this was a bad return, right? Like it would be brutal.
Absolutely.
So
So, who would be the three teams off the top of your head right now that are kind of like have been the three main teams that have been in a rebuild for like the last 5 years?
for the last 5 years,
Yeah, give or take.
um,
And all Western
obviously,
Conference
obviously
teams.
the Sabres. Um,
No. Like I'm like talking about teams that are like in a full-on rebuild. Like
all right.
Buffalo's
Well,
been
like,
trying to
I'll
contend. They've
ignore.
just been
I mean, sure, but they suck. But you know what? Fine.
yeah,
Buffalo lives in their own category. There's F
yeah,
tier and Buffalo's below it, unfortunately.
yeah,
The Ducks, the
yep.
Blackhawks. I assume you're talking about the Sharks. I don't know
And the
how long
Sharks,
they've
yeah,
been doing it.
yeah.
Okay.
So it took because Vancouver's just starting their rebuild as they're finally calling it. It took San Jose and Chicago about 4 years into their rebuild before they got that defenseman to build around on the blue line. That being Artem Levshinov and Sam Dickinson. Anaheim's got a lot of good defensemen, but we still don't know for sure if they have that franchise defenseman that you can kind of build around. Now, Vancouver did trade out a franchise defenseman in Quinn Hughes, but you are now starting a rebuild and you have Zeev Buium. You have that defenseman that can be your franchise defenseman to build around for the future and build your rebuild around on the back end. That is huge to start out with because San Jose and Chicago, again, it took them like 4 years to finally get that.
And I'll do you
Vancouver's
one
getting it
better.
out of the gate, which
I'll do
is
you one better.
huge.
He's ahead of time there as well. We already
Absolutely.
know at minimum he's already an NHL player. That's Buium
Absolutely.
is already that. Sam Dickinson, Levshinov, they both look to be great. Do not get me wrong, but
They haven't got there yet though.
we don't
They're
know. Like they might be Philip Zadina types. They might end up not. It just doesn't translate. Sometimes we just see guys that it doesn't quite work. Buium, he's a recent pick, very
he
young, but we've
completely
already seen
transformed
it
Minnesota's
works.
power play. As a rookie, he came in and their power play was instantly better with him. Like he can already
Yeah.
run a power play at 20 years old.
Yeah. You're
You know
not going to get the
what is
same
he?
defensive stuff out of him that you did from Quinn Hughes, but where he
He could
plays in the lineup,
potentially.
especially on the power play, you're probably just slotting him in where Quinn was on a lot of those.
Yeah. You've got great defensive men still on that team that you can put Zeev with. Like you can still, you don't have to put him out there and expect him to, be the best defenseman when he's out there all the time. Like you still got solid defensemen you can put alongside him. And Liam Öhgren, he's probably going to be a middle six piece, but again, a very serviceable, solid one. And Marco Rossi, I mean, he's already a top six center, and
Boy, do they
kind of
need
only looks
centers.
to be getting better. But that's the thing. It makes you wonder with Minnesota if they are not quite done because their
Not
center depth is
done.
pretty rough. I'll pull up a daily face-off here. Their centers right now in the first line is Danila Yurov, second line Joel Eriksson, third line Ryan Hartman, and fourth line Nico Sturm. All pretty good players, but I don't think
You're
that's
off?
center core. Yeah,
Who the hell is that? Why is he playing on the first line?
he's a rookie right now, and he's Russian, so you put him with Kaprizov and Tarasenko and let him
I guess they're just trying
let him
to,
maybe have fun, see if something works. But that's a tough
because
center
Eriksson
core if you're
is
going to be
pretty
going
good. I'm
up
surprised
against.
he's not there. But I guess
Yeah,
they're
well,
trying
he's been
to
working
spread
well
out.
with and he's been working well with Boldy and Johansson.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things where
So
it's just a better fit there. Yeah, I mean, they might go out and they might get a center. Like it definitely this looks like a team that is hungry and ready to buy, and yeah, they've done a really good job. I'm very happy for Minnesota Wild fans. I've always
oh yeah,
been a little bit of a Wild fan. Like I feel like it's one of those situations where everyone is, because nobody's
yeah.
like unless you're in the Central Division and have beef, you have no reason to dislike this franchise unless like one of your guys got injured by one of their guys or something. Like
Yeah,
they
I've always had a
they
soft
have
spot for
they've had
Minnesota.
so
Couldn't be
little
happier for them.
success. They've won like no draft lotteries. Like they've been so mid for so long that
Yeah.
it's impossible for anyone in the Eastern Conference to hate them. And they've
Yeah.
finally got some good players to cheer for, and they have a great fan base too. Like,
A very good, passionate fan base. And you look at Minnesota's defense now. Quinn Hughes probably going to play with Brock Faber. That's huge for Brock Faber. Get to play alongside a guy like Quinn Hughes and takes a lot of pressure off him. Then you've got Brodin and Spurgeon, and then you've still got Zach Bogosian. You've got David Jiricek if it ends up panning out. You still have Jacob Middleton. Like it's the best blue line in the league now. It was already probably top five, and now you add Quinn Hughes, like it's number one.
yeah, it's a really good blue line. Oh,
Like it's
and okay,
insane.
fine. You get past that blue line. Well, maybe we'll just snipe it on your goalie. Oh, what's that? You have Philip Gustafson. Okay, yeah, sure, but he can't play every game. What if we just take it out on your backup goalie? Oh, Jesper Wallstedt. They also have the best goalie tandem in the league right now. Like,
Yeah, it almost makes you wonder if Wallstead wasn't standing on his head the way he was, like if he was still kind of struggling, if he would have been a part of this deal.
see, I was thinking that when I heard that Hughes was being moved before I saw the details, but I was thinking like they just shipped out Seelovs because they have so many goalies locked up over in Vancouver. Like they wouldn't. I feel like they would have liked it, but they just don't quite
But
have
they
the
also
room.
they weren't committed to a rebuild at the time, which is now like you've got Demko who's got an extension that hasn't kicked in. I think Lankinen's extension
Mhm.
hasn't kicked in. So this was the first domino to fall for Vancouver. Obviously the biggest one, but it's almost kind of
Lankinen has it. His is kicked in. He's got a full no
okay.
move.
So his did kick in
Demko's kicks in this off season.
this offseason.
Currently has no trade protection. I assume he does on his extension.
Yeah. So this was, the first domino to fall in the rebuild, and obviously it's going to be the hardest because it was your best player, your captain, kind of your franchise player. But it's almost kind of the best that it started this way because you've got these pieces in place now that you can start to build around and kind of utilize. And
They already had a lot of
yeah,
good prospects. Like I like the way that they've done. Like they've finally said rebuild out loud, but
yeah,
they've been retooling already, and like they have the extra first now. That's it. Like they don't have a litany of picks or anything. Instead, they have a bunch of prospects already there. They already have names on contracts instead of just these hypothetical magic beans in draft picks. Draft picks can end
yeah,
up being nothing, but if you know who the guy is and you like the player, that's different. And they
yeah.
have a lot of good young guys that, yeah, I could see this being a full on rebuild and tear it down at the NHL level, but the amount of guys
Mhm.
already in the system, this team could be back to competitive in 2 to 3 years.
When you
Like,
take
it
into
feels like
account
a
the
full on
Kiefer
rebuild, but it
Sherwood.
would be just accelerated.
Yeah, and like you look at Kiefer Sherwood, he's probably going to get traded potentially to the right team. Could go for a first, if not maybe a second and a prospect.
It would be a
This
fleecing if it wasn't at least a first. That guy is good and on a good contract.
He's a heart and soul guy. With the Quinn Hughes trade, yeah, I think you're right. This trade, as much as it sucks again for Vancouver, it at minimum, I believe it takes a year off a rebuild. Like San Jose's been in a rebuild
Yeah.
for, they're going into 6 years here. Kind of same with Chicago. Anaheim's just coming out of it. They were in it for 7 years or so ish. This could take a whole year off a rebuild for Vancouver. And again, yeah, they do already have some good prospects in play. You're going to be trading away more guys, so you're going to be getting more draft picks. And if they hit on the right players at this draft, it is going to be huge. And
It sounds like they're aiming for a top 3 pick this year.
well, I
It
mean, you're,
sounds like
you're
they're
already
looking to
dead
lose.
last. You're dead last in the league, and you just traded Quinn Hughes.
Quinn Hughes,
No, you.
who great offensively, not quite as good defensively as he is offensively, but very underrated defensively. He is one of the best
Mm,
defensive guys in the league, at least the way he was playing in Vancouver. Like, his defensive numbers are still staggering there. Like, he
Yeah.
does so much for that team. The fact that they're already in last, I don't know how they don't finish bottom 3 at the top. I expect them to finish last in the league now. It's December
Yeah.
and they were last, and they just traded out one of the like you said, a top 10 player. How do
Well, I
you
mean,
how do you get
for
better? Unless another team
you
sells
don't.
harder.
And
Like,
I don't think
it would
there's any
take like a
teams that are really gonna. Maybe Nashville, but that's maybe Calgary. But I think those are
I,
kind of the only three.
I don't even think Calgary could sell off hard enough to lose enough games. The only way
Yeah.
I see it is a Dustin Wolf injury, because they're obviously not trading him.
Yeah.
And we're not in the
Absolutely.
business of planning around injuries here.
And I guess the main thing you can say to Canucks fans is it's going to hurt now. It's going to hurt. It hurt yesterday. It's going to hurt today. It's going to hurt tomorrow. It's going to hurt the next while. It's going to hurt seeing Quinn Hughes come back and play his first game in Vancouver, not wearing a Canucks jersey. But I can promise you one thing, because I've been there firsthand. I have walked through it. I've experienced it. If the ping pong balls fall in your way, you get the first overall pick and you get Gavin McKenna, you instantly forget about Quinn Hughes.
Where's Gavin McKenna?
It sounds weird to say. He's from Whitehorse, so Vancouver's about as
Do you think he was a Canucks fan growing up?
I think he was a Flames fan, kind of. So, but it's still close enough. It's as close as he can.
His
pretty much
cousin
kinda
Bedard
get
was a Canucks fan.
to home, yeah. So, and it sounds weird to say, "Oh, forget about Quinn Hughes," but I promise you, if you get Gavin McKenna, you will move on pretty quickly from this. You will be excited about the new players you have. You'll be excited about getting a new franchise player that you can build around up front. And yeah, that's about all I can say. Is it's going to hurt, but the Canucks have a vision for this team for the first time in what feels like for forever. And I think that's huge for them.
One thing I wanted to touch on, I don't know if we mentioned this, but teams that were confirmed that we know for a fact made offers on Hughes, obviously the Wild, New Jersey, Detroit, New York Rangers, Carolina Hurricanes, and the Buffalo Sabres. I heard that a lot of because all these insiders are trying to get their word in, right? Like, everyone wants to be attached a little bit to the Hughes news.
Yeah.
And it sounds like from a New Jersey beat reporter or insider that theirs was one of the first deals to get pushed off the table. It sounds like, and that makes a lot of sense to me. It sounds like New Jersey lowballed them. I think, and I don't know this is me speculating at this point. I think New Jersey lowballed them because they're going, we would love Quinn Hughes now, but we're getting him when he goes to free agency. I think they're getting a little cocky. I think everyone's talking about the three Hughes being together, and I think they're a little on their high horse, and they're going, we are going to get this guy. Just, is it worth paying for him now, or should we wait and get him for free? Or maybe get him at the deadline next year. And I think if Quinn Hughes enjoys it enough in Minnesota, there's a decent chance he re-signs there. And the Devils are going to be kicking themselves harder than anyone has in history over it.
Yeah.
Because if they trade, like we're talking right now, that's if Quinn Hughes resigns, right? If he goes to New Jersey, it is not in my mind the idea of him not. He's playing with both his brothers on this young upcoming team. There is no shot he is walking away from that into free agency. He's re-signing there. They're the only team that basically guarantees a re-sign if they trade for him now. And sounds like they had one of the weakest offers.
Yeah, I heard
so
that
maybe they should have just ponied up and got the great fucking player.
But I did hear that apparently because Vancouver knew that, New Jersey, they're kind of just think it's a lock that they're going to get him. It does sound like Vancouver wanted one of either Nico Hischier or Jesper Bratt. But I think if you're New Jersey, I think for Vancouver, I think that's the right call. You're like, hey, you know what? You clearly want him more than anybody. Your fan base wants him more than anybody else, as even though it's Quinn Hughes, everybody wants him. Yeah, that kind of makes sense that they'd want New Jersey to pay a bit more. And then you look at what they got from Minnesota, and it's like, yeah, you look at some of these other teams, they just don't have what it is to get Quinn Hughes. Detroit fans really wanted him, but they realized we couldn't offer a package that good. The Rangers don't have shit to offer. Carolina, you've got picks, but you don't have the prospects of the level that Vancouver is getting here. Buffalo maybe could have.
Buffalo's an interesting one.
Buffalo's got a lot of pieces all over the place that they probably could have, but
they can't expect him to be extending there either. So,
but that is also true. And also, like, if you're Buffalo, you're probably sending either an Owen Power or a Bowen Byram, which I think Vancouver would have loved to get either one of those players. Don't get me wrong, but with what they got from Minnesota, I think is a solid return, and it puts them in a good spot to fully rebuild now.
Yeah. If the deal happened with New Jersey, what do you think? Like, how much would it take? Do you think? Say it's Nico Hischier.
So I heard originally, I don't know if this is confirmed, but apparently New Jersey's offer was Dawson Mercer, Anton Silayev, and a first. So Dawson Mercer, Marco Rossi, kind of about the same level player. Zeev Buium is much further ahead than Anton Silayev, and Zeev Buium is more of that offensive guy that is very hard to find on the back end.
Yeah.
For New Jersey, you're probably still, like, if you're Vancouver, you're probably still asking for like Nico Hischier, Silayev in a first, then maybe is the thing. Like, if you're not getting that top level,
I'm thinking Nico Hischier, Simone Nemec, and a first.
Apparently, Simone Nemec was never involved in their trade talks, which is kind of crazy. It almost kind of seems like New Jersey, with how good he's been playing this year and how he's really solidified himself in the blue line, they kind of made him like off limits all of a sudden. I feel like
you can't sit there and be like, these 6 guys are off limit. Like, you don't. For other trades, sure, you get to do that. You're trading for a guy like Quinn Hughes. You don't get to be like, my best 8 players are off limits. What else do you want? Like, okay, screw you. Then he's going to Minnesota. Like,
exactly.
I know a lot. I've heard a lot of people being like, no wonder the Devils didn't make a better deal. You can't trade Hischier. Why the fuck not? He's not your best center, and he never will be, assuming Jack Hughes can get healthy, I suppose. You'd have the 3 Hughes brothers, man. You still come out on top. I'm sorry, but like Nico Hischier, I loved him as a player. But
yeah,
Quinn Hughes with his brothers, are you kidding? Come on. Like, what are we discussing here? That's not even that's not even an argument for me. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I understand. Like, I feel like people are a little too quick a lot of the times to be like, this guy's untouchable. It's like, you got to look at who's incoming as well, because if they have a guy at the same level or higher, anyone near the same value at least is in consideration. But
absolutely, yeah.
I think we've dissected this pretty well. We've talked about a lot. Before we're done with this, Brundy, I'm gonna ask you: do you think Quinn Hughes extends with Minnesota? Where does he sign his extension?
I think he does in Minnesota. I think, and, I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's a very long quote, but Bill Guerin put out a great quote talking about how if the hockey's fun and you're having fun, that's the biggest thing. There's always going to be the thing of, going somewhere where there's no tax, going somewhere where it's nice and warm and sunny, going where, your buddies are, maybe your brothers. But at the end of the day, if you're on a good hockey team, you're winning, you're having fun. That's the biggest thing. And Quinn Hughes, I think, is going to have a lot of fun with this Minnesota team. They're going to have a lot of success throughout the rest of this regular season. If they go on a deep playoff run and whatnot, I think it's definitely we'll give them a lot to think about. And, at the end of the day, people say it's a lock he's going to New Jersey. I'm still never fully on that belief. I understand why people think that, but New Jersey's going to have to pay me a fuck ton of money. Minnesota will be able to give him an 8-year extension. They'll be the only team that has the option to, because but they have to do it pretty soon into the offseason when he's eligible. But they can offer him the 8 years. And if he goes to New Jersey, does he really want to go and just little brother, like his actual little brother Luke Hughes, and be like, I'm taking over. You're kind of now.
Yeah, it kind of cannibalizes
a career
his role. They play a similar
pair
game.
guy, a maybe the second power play, because honestly, Simone Nemec might just run that second power play, and if Quinn Hughes goes there, then you steal like everything away from your younger brother who's drafted there 4th overall. You know,
You better hope it's a lot of signing bonuses, not performance bonuses for Luke if that happens. Like honestly, if he extends in Minnesota, even if he extends, people will always be like, "Oh, is he gonna get moved?" At a certain
it's
point,
always
do
going
you
to be a talking
wonder,
point.
you know, maybe the other two end up over with Guerin and Quinn? Like
Yeah,
Jack Hughes, all the talent in the world, and obviously it's because of injuries, hasn't worked out the way we're all hoping in New Jersey yet. And, the injuries aren't New Jersey's fault, but we've seen guys before where they just things keep happening and eventually they're
yeah,
like, it's not you, it's me. I just need a fresh start.
yeah, absolutely. But yeah, right now I'm feeling like, yeah, I think Quinn Hughes will resign in Minnesota and
I like it. I like that
he'll stick
future.
around.
And
Makes the
I'm
Central
inclined to agree.
Division nasty. Such a stacked division now.
Where does Minnesota fit? Where if you're ranking not where they finish, just the best teams overall.
Like in the
What's your
Central,
top 3 for the Central?
I think it still goes in the exact order that is in the standings right now: Colorado, Dallas, Minnesota. Only because, and I mean Winnipeg's right in there, but I think they're like just on the 4 spot,
Yeah, the
comfortably
Jets.
in the 4 spot. But for Minnesota, I think you need to now go out and you need to get a center to fill that spot, because you do have
That's
that
fair.
glaring hole that Marco Rossi left in. Obviously, if Marco Rossi had to be a part of it to get to Quinn Hughes, you trade Rossi. But I think they do need to go out and they need to find someone to fill that center spot. And there's going to be a lot of options,
We
but
already know
until I
one
think
that's been
they
on the
can
market.
climb that, yeah. But until Minnesota can climb that rank, they need to get another center into the mix, preferably a solidified top 6 center.
A guy who's been playing on the top line, has been scoring quite a bit. It's a former Conn Smythe winner. I believe he's won a Selkie as well, won Ryan O'Reilly. And
It would help.
there's a couple teams around the league that just almost every team has at least one other team that they just love each other. These
Yeah.
GMs have each other on speed dial. They're trading constantly. And I would have to look at their trade histories, but I believe Nashville and Minnesota are kind of that for each other. Despite being in the same
Yeah.
conference or in the same division even, they make a lot of trades with each other.
They've pulled off some big ones before. The Granlund Fiala one comes to
Ryan
mind.
LaFialin,
Like that was a big one.
like
Yeah, so not afraid to do it.
so I
Absolutely.
wouldn't be shocked if they ended up getting Ryan O'Reilly there for something and
Going to run. Yeah.
yeah,
But I think
guy can be in the
we've
good in the playoffs.
yeah, I think we've dissected the trade enough where the teams are at now. We'll discuss, a couple of the other extra things we may have missed a little bit further on the podcast on Tuesday. But you're the man here today, so I'll let you hit us with a nice outro here to wrap it up.
Absolutely. And that has been just about 40 minutes of Quinn Hughes talk. We didn't expect it to go this long, but it's a huge trade. It's been a long time since we saw something like this, especially in December. So it was a lot of fun talking about it. It's been a lot of fun thinking about it and talking online. So if you guys want to talk with us anywhere, talk in the comments section here. Talk on our social medias. We got them all linked in the description down below. Hit us up wherever. Let us know who you thought won the trade, something we may have missed. If you think I'm off base with my accusations on New Jersey being overconfident, any of that, let us know what you think. With that all said, then we will see you guys in the next YouTube exclusive.